The holidays are coming, you guys, which means we are obligated as a business to try and take as much of your money as possible.
That's why we've come up with new products to sell you. We got shirts, we got hats, we got all kinds of things for you.
If you want a Brock Life shirt, if you want a Jetpack Rescue Squad shirt.
Ooh, that salmon cannon shirt's cool.
If you want any of that stuff, you want a hat that says "They's Aliens," we got you. We have concerns.com/shop.
To assess the progress you've made. It's a way to
progress that I made.
that is an excellent
This
retort.
is what you sound like.
My voice being silly.
I'm
Excellent
Jeff, and I'm going to take stock of all the things I've done in my personal growth. It doesn't matter, Jeff. Who cares? Who cares? This is We Have Concerns. Hi, Jeff Canada.
Hi, Anthony Carboni.
Hello, concerned citizens.
I don't even know where to go from there.
You go into the story, Jeff.
Here's an interesting story. This was sent to us by Joe Cuevas, who sent it to We Have Concerns Show.
He sends us a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
Thanks,
We Have
Joe.
Concerns Show at gmail.com is where he sent that. He could have also used our subreddit, wehaveconcerns.reddit.com. This, I think, is a fascinating story. A science story about flatworms.
Okay.
Scientists have been able to take flatworms and make them grow the head of different species without altering them genetically.
Like a lion.
Like a lion's
Like a
mane.
tiny flatworm with a gigantic lion's head.
Oh, I would buy one of those. Wouldn't that be a great pet?
Just the flatworm part is just wiggling impotently.
But he roars so majestically. He's the king of the flatworm jungle.
How does that body even support the complexity of a lion's head?
Well,
science is amazing.
Science is amazing. What head would you want on a flatworm? Would you go lion or would you go like eagle?
I mean, whatever head you can put on a flatworm is amazing. What kind of head did they put on a flatworm?
Well, it's other flatworms.
That's garbage.
I know.
That's
it's
actually
a lot
the one
less
thing that's
interesting.
not amazing.
No, it's actually...
We had all these amazing answers, and they were like, it's just more flatworm.
No, it really is amazing. They actually
amazing.
caused these flatworms to grow the head of a different species of flatworm. Not only changed the shape of their head, but actually the shape of their brain and how it functions. They literally forced them to evolve differently. And they think this might give clues as to how we evolved. So the idea here is that it's not genetic. They didn't mess with their DNA. There's no gene splicing involved. This is just
a simple 12-step workout program.
It is. All you got to do is you start with the abs, and then it moves right up into the head there.
All you have to do is, as a flatworm, is imagine you have abs. Until you do.
That's why they call them flatworms, right? It's because they don't have any flab around the abs area. How to get a flatworm stomach in just 12 days.
I'm sorry, I'm vomiting all over our microphones, and now we don't have microphones anymore, and you did it.
My fault?
You made it happen.
Okay, so here's how they did this. So there are these things called gap junctions, which are protein channels that allow cells to communicate with each other. They pass electrical signals back and forth between those gap junctions, and they disrupt how the brain was going to form.
Scientists just use gap junctions to shame flatworms into not liking their bodies. There's no flatworm that actually has a thigh gap junction.
Yeah, well,
that's not true.
It's a lot of photoshopping that they do.
And that's the thing. That's the thing is young impressionable flatworms grow up. Do they split off of other flatworms?
Well, the problem is, the problem is there's a lot of bullying, and some of the
flatworms
call each other
bread.
They call each other fatworms instead of flatworms.
Yeah,
and it's really, really bad. We got to stop the flat shaming.
Here's what's crazy. Yeah, it's like two flatworms start off as friends, right?
Yeah.
Well, actually, they start off as one flatworm. And then they kind of split into two-ish flatworms, like a flatworm with two heads and two tails.
Yeah.
And and they're really tight, they're really close. And
they're as close as you can be.
And then they split off, and one of them just falls in with one crowd.
Yeah.
And one of them falls in with another crowd.
It's so sad to see it happen.
And then one flatworm really pretends like she doesn't know the other flatworm.
Well, the problem is that it all happens on Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
and the flatworm on Facebook will not like one of the other flatworms' photos, and then all of a sudden say something pretty terrible. There's a comment, maybe some flat shaming, and that's really where it goes all downhill.
And the media does not help. The media does not help.
No.
And this is what you need to know as young, empowered flatworms.
Which I know most of you are.
Most of our audience is young and empowered flatworms. Flatworms that have been given greater abilities than their biology would let you believe. Flatworms that have the ability to control complex technology with their minds.
That's why we do so well with this podcast, because nobody is targeting that demographic.
It's called the long tail.
Literally.
Some flatworms have longer tails than others. And if you can get just 1,000 true flatworms.
Yeah. I don't know if we read that book right, but that's what we started targeting.
I don't read things anymore, Jeff.
I know that.
It's 2016 almost. I skim shit. That's what I do now in 2016 is I just skim
You're
shit.
a skimmer?
Yeah. But anyway, what we're getting at is if you see
Some
a
of those
flatworm
flatworms skim the
in
surface
the
of the
media with a gap junction, it's usually Photoshop. And you don't have to feel like you have to live up to that ideal.
Right. But these scientists are using these gap junctions. They're injecting...
Wait, we were talking about scientists?
We were.
Oh, okay.
They shoot electrical impulses into these gap junctions and interrupt the signaling and can actually induce different forms of what is essentially evolution. It's creating a different head on the body of a flatworm.
Wait. So they electrically shock these gap junctions. They shut down some sort of cellular circuitry that causes the head to turn into a different head?
Yeah, I guess they observe one species and how it works and sort of force that onto another species and can create the head of the first species on the second species. They actually can manipulate and it'll change. It'll actually grow differently and actually have a different brain shape and a different head shape.
That's like a kid standing on a shed with another kid going, "This is what a bird does when it flies. Do this and jump, and you'll be fine."
But it works. It works. It happens.
I never saw my friend again. He just flew off into the distance.
Like a bird. He was finally free.
It was majestic.
Yeah.
And if I could only believe in myself, maybe I could join him.
So they're saying that this could actually help us prevent birth defects. That if we figure out how this works in humans, this may be a clue to how the body actually decides what it's going to be.
Here's what I want, Jeff. Here's where I see this technology.
Is this a lion head on a flatworm body again? Because those are adorable. We could market those.
We both need to go into the lab.
Yes.
And I need them to observe you. And then I need them to shock my gap junctions and get rid of these detached earlobes.
Oh, could be the key to everything.
This is the key. I have...
This is your salvation.
If you guys have been listening for a while, you know that there are two kinds of people in the world as far as I'm concerned. There are people who have those beautiful attached earlobes.
Yeah.
Jeff's got
so
those.
Nice. It's a charm to life.
It's amazing. It's beautiful. That's why Jeff is in commercials. That's why you see him on billboards.
I'm a lobe actor.
He's got the lobes. I don't have the lobes to make it in this town.
No.
I've got those weird hanging lobes.
They're detached and disgusting.
I just think about what, like, in the late 90s when Mad Magazine would draw Ross Perot. And he had these butterfly wing ears. That's detached lobes. If we could just see how my lobes are growing.
Blast your gaps, bro.
Blast those gaps.
Yeah.
Get them lobes.
That's a two-step process.
That's what it is. It's that simple.
I love it.
Blast the gaps, get the lobes.
I got bad news for you, Anthony.
We don't have gap junctions.
This is actually going to blow your mind.
Okay.
This process on the flatworms, it's fucking temporary. Weeks after they did this, they grew back their original head. Their head reformed itself into the head it was supposed to be originally.
Wait! New idea for this! International spy!
Whoa! Yes, this is the thing. It like Mission Impossible when they need the face that's different. It's not a mask. Just grow a different one. Grow the Ross Perot face.
For 4 weeks. No, you're missing the point of the story, I think.
Oh. I was just imagining infiltrating into Ross Perot's secret abode.
Rest in peace, Ross Perot. Is Ross Perot
Is he dead? I don't think he's dead.
He was old at the time.
He was, but
so I'm going to assume that he's dead and we miss him.
Okay.
All right. And our thoughts go out to all of his family and friends. If he is dead, which we think he is.
We might be wrong.
We might be wrong. We're very often not.
So what's your plan?
So, yeah, man, you could chameleon style.
Yeah.
Just for 3 weeks be somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah, you have your body, but their head, and then your head grows back.
Or maybe their body too.
I don't know.
How does that work?
Well, it seems like only the head is the issue here with the flatworms.
I think they've only done the head.
The problem is you can have anybody's head in the world, but unfortunately you'll have a flatworm body. Yeah.
But what if we created...
Is that Anthony behind the couch?
Hey, guys!
What? Come out from behind there, Anthony.
No, I'm good, right? I'm just looking for a thing. You guys are... Hey, hi.
Oh, you got a flatworm body.
No.
Who is this really?
You've got a flatworm body.
Who is this really, Anthony? Not Anthony. Hey, guys.
I'm just a flatworm. You probably wouldn't know me from any other flatworm. I don't know why you're asking me who I am. Do you know any flatworms?
Well, no, I don't know any flatworm.
All right, well, I'm just a fucking flatworm then.
All right,
Are you really interested in who I am? Are you really interested in my story?
I'm interested in why you took my friend's head and decided to grow his head.
You don't care about flatworms unless they look like you.
No, I don't.
Makes you think, doesn't it? About you.
Yeah. You know what? You're not that flat. You're not that flatworm. I read some stuff on Facebook about you.
How dare you?
Yeah.
This would not work on a human in its current state.
Well, it's not going to work on a human, but it might give us...
Flatworms are very simple creatures, and flatworms...
That's how it starts. It starts simple, and it gets more complex, and then we learn things.
Of course.
We learn about how this might help prevent birth defects. It might give us clues as to how we evolved. I think that's pretty exciting stuff.
No, that's amazing, but I don't want people to walk out of here thinking that we told them that this is going to work on people in a few... No, it's like it's not going to work on people. But... I don't know. There's also something out of everything we've heard recently about, genetic engineering and bioengineering and all this stuff. There's something adorably mad scientist about just administering electric shocks.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of rad because
it's so retro.
Like you're saying, we're taking the genome and we're messing with your DNA and we're breaking cells down and rebuilding them from nothing and taking the scaffolding and or we could just zap your brain and your body will do all that for us. It turns out,
theoretically. It turns out we had the right idea in all 60s science fiction.
Exactly.
And we abandoned the right idea.
Yeah, we just had to get a little bit more specific on where to zap.
Yeah.
You can't just have bolts in the side of your head and lightning shooting from the ceiling. You got to actually get in there.
Do you want to hear
gaps.
Do you want to hear about the one and only time that I have been purposely electrocuted multiple times?
Purposely electrocuted? Like someone else electrocuted you on purpose or you did it to yourself?
Yes.
All right, tell me. You've got me interested.
So my friend Andy in college was the bouncer / doorman of this just nasty, terrible club in Gainesville, Florida.
All electric club.
It was basically a club with an electric dance floor. It was built by the Scarecrow in the Arkham series. Oh. Now, it was just some dirty, nasty college, whatever. And I drove up to visit him. And we were hanging out at this bar, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll get you in. I'm at the door of this club." And it's one of those things where you could tell it was cool to the people in the college town that he was the doorman of this club and getting into this club. But it looked like a dirty box of toxoplasmosis inside. And
but you wanted in.
I wanted in because my friend would let me in, and the drinks were free. So I was drinking, and we were all drinking. It was too much drinking. The bar shuts down. He's like, "Hey, do you mind hanging out for a minute? I got to help him clean up and whatever." And somehow, as we're hanging out with the staff and just like having shots, somebody notices that the bartender has like a stun gun behind the bar.
Okay.
And he's like, just in case.
For safety.
Yeah, just in case things get crazy, blah, 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 blah. And somebody goes, I could get shocked by one of those. I'd be fine.
Uh-huh. Is that somebody you?
No, it was not me. But I was the guy that said, no, you couldn't. He's like, yeah, I could.
That does sound like you.
No, you couldn't. I bet you couldn't. He's like, yeah, I could. It's like, okay, well, I could do it then. If you could do it, I could do it. Well, who could do it the most?
Let's both do it to each other at the same exact moment.
4 guys sitting around a table with shots and a stun gun. Just real quick. Ah!
Really?
And then passing it. Ah!
Really?
Yeah.
You can do. First of all, you can do it quick like that, and it doesn't incapacitate you. I feel like it would incapacitate you immediately.
You seize up.
Yeah.
And you kind of fall back a little bit. But if you do it real quick to yourself, no. It has to be sustained.
So another guy did it to you, or you did it to yourself?
I did it to myself. Everybody did it to themselves. And then the second time around, everybody was like, well, we obviously can't do this long enough if we do it to ourselves.
Right.
Somebody else has to do it.
Did you get the gap junction? Did you shoot your gap junction?
I woke up with my friend's head.
It was
He
four
woke
guys.
up with my head. And there was like a bunch of hilarious misunderstandings over the next week where I had to live his life and he had to live my life. And we learned a lot about each other, but also about ourselves.
I think that really was worth it then.
In reality, what happened is we shocked the bartender and he fell over and we were like, oh God, we shouldn't have done that. Let's not do that anymore. Is he okay?
Was he okay?
In a minute.
He was never the same.
He was fine. Electricity. For science. That was kind of a sign. That was kind of an experiment. We were doing an experiment.
Yeah.
Have you ever electric shocked yourself?
Not to that extent. I've done, there was that game that was going around, I guess, in the late 90s for a while.
Oh, sure. Where you you put your finger in.
Put your finger in, yeah, and it just randomly shocks somebody. Not nearly as exciting as your stun gun. And I also, when I was a kid, we had a pool, and outside, my dad had a telephone, like an old style rotary telephone hooked up, just in case the phone rang and everybody was out at the pool, we could answer the phone.
And that was quaint. What wasn't quaint was the bundle of live wires that he also kept near the pool.
Well, it just jazzed things up for the kids in the pool. If the phone would ring and I would go over sometimes and pick it up and I would have, completely wet face and hair and everything. And the phone would constantly electrocute my face, and it didn't stop me from talking on the phone. Sometimes I would just brush it up against my cheek, and it would electrocute my face over and over. Very, very small amounts.
Yeah.
So it was more like this crazy tingling sensation, but I always remember that as being like, I'm
Did you
getting
have your first sexual experience with that phone?
I'm pretty sure I did. Then you move the phone slowly lower down your body.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
More in circles, less in circles.
It's when people talk about phone sex, I always had the wrong idea.
Wow.
I was I was always like, well, do I have to get in the pool first? And then they wouldn't understand about the phone sex.
I would love if I could just have these guys give you the sense of humor of a flatworm. Which would be
flatworms are notoriously hilarious.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
They love puns.
No, they do not. So this is something where they're looking at the implications it could have for human biology in the long term. I mean,
or just the things it'll tell us about how all species evolved. Like if this is really the place where some of this information is communicated to the body as to how it's going to form, maybe it'll give us clues as to what external things, gave information along those pathways and caused things to evolve.
We think of our DNA as the blueprint and the building block, but we tend to think of it as this static thing. Like, I am who I am because of my DNA, and my DNA is what it is. And we think that because our eye color never changes, our hair color never changes. But I think we forget that, the building blocks of life are super easy to manipulate. Just the things you eat every day change your genes.
That's true.
Or the way your genes express yourself. So it's kind of fascinating that we're like, oh, okay, it's just this this building block that we can manipulate. Let's see what happens if we electrically shock it.
These cells communicate with one another. Let's fuck with their communication and see what happens is basically the idea. And so, if we can figure out exactly how these cells communicate with one another, maybe it gives us information as to how this all started and why things evolved the way they did.
Maybe it gives me those earlobes. Those earlobes I need to finally start booking those commercials.
You can dream.
Those sweet, sweet commercials.
Yeah. Finally. First you get the lobes.
Yeah.
Then you get the commercials.
Yeah.
Then you get the women. Isn't that how it works?
Was it ever that way for you?
Never. Not once. I may have this wrong.
How do you guys feel about this? How do you feel about flatworms? Have you ever electrocuted yourself on purpose?
That's a great question. I would also love to know which animal's head you'd want on a flatworm body.
There's so many questions that we want the answer to, and we're just going to give you one hashtag to answer them all to us on Twitter. And that hashtag is stun gun. Hashtag those stun gun and send them to us on Twitter. I'm at @acarboni.
I'm at Jeff Canada.
And hey, listen, guys, I know we ask you a lot to do this, but it really, really does help. If you're listening on Stitcher, iTunes, Overcast, whatever it is you listen to, please, please, please head to that platform and give us a 5-star rating. It takes just a moment, and it really, really helps us increase our ranking and visibility on those different platforms.
Anthony, did you notice that on iTunes we just crossed the 1,000 review threshold? It's pretty great.
My God, this means iTunes starts paying us more.
No,
that means we get more money from iTunes than we did before.
Nope.
We get to go to the iTunes VIP party.
There's no such thing.
With Mark Maron.
Yeah, well,
and it's Sarah Koenig.
Maybe they are there at a thing.
And what's his name from Fear Factor? And they all hang out and they pop bottles at the iTunes.
I mean, that may be happening, but we're not invited to that, nor does that mean anything as far as what we get. But it's cool. Thanks, everybody.
Cool. Yeah, thank you so much. And hey, when you're leaving those reviews, they're going to ask you to leave a written review. You don't need to do that.
Yeah, don't let that be a deterrent because nobody reads those anyway.
Yeah, what you need to do instead is just give 5 stars and then what heads would you like to put on the bodies of what other animals?
Yeah.
Favorite chimeras. Go.
The mixed mass mishmaps of animal species.
That's what they're called.